Welcome to Make a Difference. He is Phil Martelli. I am Jared Phillips. We are right smack dab in the middle of summer here, which means school is out for just about everybody, but you're never not learning and you're never not teaching, right? And I feel like that was something that you wanted to make a major emphasis on for today's episode, especially pertaining to our guest.
Yes, for sure. I think that all of us are charged with, and I don't care where you are in life, all of us are charged with teaching every day and learning every day. So basically, the responsibility to be a teacher and to be a student. Age doesn't matter, experience doesn't matter. All of us are capable of teaching each other something. And all of us, for sure, need to learn every day. And how do we do that? We need to observe others and learn while seeing and seizing opportunities to teach. So we're learning by observing, and then we're seeing and seizing these opportunities to teach. It could be as simple as a grandparent driving with their grandchildren in the back seat. And if they see how you interact with other drivers, if they observe what you're listening to, that is all a really big deal. And when it can be focused on interpersonal skills, which you can take with you for life, it can also focus on knowledge, things that you didn't know about, and then you have a chance to pick up knowledge. I think the other thing that we want to understand is that there's do's and there's don'ts. Yeah, I would do it that way if I got into that position. Where it's okay to say, no, I wouldn't do it that way. What you like, what you don't like. And my question to everybody out there is, how do you keep a record of that? How do you sit down at a very early age, maybe as early as 8th grade, 9th grade? I knew that I wanted to coach. I kept a notebook on things. It wasn't X's and O's, but I could see something and read. I read every newspaper going back to the evening bulletin, and I would take out snippets and say, I like this. I don't like that. This is be something that I would emulate or I need to know more about. How many people out there could sit down and list, these are the following 5 subjects I know nothing about. And if I get into a conversation, I don't want to fake it. I want to say, I don't know that. And is it of interest that I would learn that? So I kept notebooks of things that I liked, not X's and O's, but just different ways that people dealt with all kinds of situations. So often there are clinics for coaching. People can go to a clinic and say, you know what, I'm going to hear the great Bob Hurley speak. And I'm talking about Danny and Bobby's father, who I've said before on this podcast is the best basketball coach. You could go see Gino Auriemma, who recently I bumped into just to make a connection while we were both in Avalon. Clinic for coaching. So why isn't there a clinic for living your life? There is. It's called observing. We are all involved in a clinic every single day. I know I was with our guest for intimately for 5 years, but really for our whole lives. We have taught and we have learned from each other. And that's why going forward, the Philadelphia Coaching Academy, which is coming, we are going to provide for middle school, 7th and 8th grade and under coaches. We're going to provide a 3-hour clinic, 5 different locations, backed by the Archdiocese of Philadelphia, backed by the public schools in Philadelphia. A number of youth organizations are backing us. And now we have to make a connection with the school districts and their coaches. And what we want to do is we want to teach. We want to teach you how to run an efficient practice. And then have you teach that to your players. So you're going to be a student, but then you're going to go back with your players for the season. Today's guest was on the front page of the Philadelphia Inquirer. And I was next to this person. I was in an all-out screech, probably to a referee. And our guest was as calm and as cool as could be imagined. And Don DeJulia, the great Don DeJulia, sent me a note with laughs in it. And he said to me in his note, "Who is the leader?" That's what teaching and learning is all about. Every day, all of us, no matter what our station in life is, be a teacher and be a learner. And we try to help you, motivate you with the Martelli Minute.
It's a fascinating dynamic because you look at our guest today, and someone on the outside looking in probably thinks, "Oh, you were the teacher, he was the learner," but you would argue quite the opposite.
No. Yeah, and every day it was that way.
Back and
Every
forth.
day for back and forth, and we're going to get that perspective because at a young age he became a parent, and to watch him parent now, 20 years later, it just is fascinating, and it's part of making a difference, which is what he is doing and will continue to do. And I would bet that the Martelli Minute could be part of that, because you can get the Martelli Minute where?
On Instagram every morning at 6:30 a.m. Phil_Martelli.
Brought to you by statussolutions.com. Status Solutions. What they're bringing to schools is safety for our young people. They have all the technology. They have all the wherewithal. And they also now pass it to the community to say, how safe can you make your schools? Well, if you join statussolutions.com, that's statussolutions.com, you can be at the very front, at the pinnacle of school safety. And don't we all want that? So the Martelli Minute, by changing the way you think, you change the way you live your life. If you think the same all the time, then there is no change. But if you are changing how you think about a subject matter, about a situation, about a relationship, you're going to end up changing the way you live your life. This one is a big deal, and again, applies to our guest. Believe in yourself. I'll say it again. Believe in yourself. Don't go out there looking for others to give you acclamation. Be one who self-acclimates. Stop with the constant comparisons. Live by your standards. The person down the street drives something that you don't have. The children down the street have a GPA, or they're going to a different. No. Stop. What are your standards? What are your standards for a good life, a productive life? And live by that standard. There you go. Give yourself up in service to others. Come outside of you and do the we, right? We've said this many times on the podcast. We greater than me, and there it is. Give yourself up in service to others. And in the best organizations, people treat each other with kindness every day. In the best organizations, people treat each other with kindness every single day. And then the last one, no apologies. No apologies. If you get it wrong, you get it wrong. Acknowledge, accountable, move forward. But don't waste a lot of time on apologies. Because to be honest with you, no one cares. You're apologizing for you to feel better, not necessarily for the situation to be better. So no apologies. Martelli Minute. Instagram every morning.
6:30 a.m.
That's it.
Phil_Martelli. Brought to you by Status Solutions.
And we appreciate them always. And I did come up with another thing. You had said we're halfway through the summer. And did you know that July 5th is halfway through the year, the calendar year? We're now on the backside of the calendar year. It's amazing. So let's make every day count, just like our guest did.
Let's make this guest count.
This guest is definitely going to count. So make a difference. Make a difference. When we first started to discuss this and the formatting of it, the guest segment was part of this. And we wanted somebody that would make a difference in their family. We want somebody to make a difference in their community. We want someone to make a difference in their business organizations, in their charitable endeavors. The idea was to highlight, and I want to emphasize this, the idea was to highlight the extraordinary people who are doing so much great work. So we started with a blank page and we started to scribble all these names. And we had one other advisor throwing names. The name of this guest was first, was second, was third, was fourth, and was fifth. Like, if you can get this person, this is who we want to feature. And it almost became like we were going to do a mini series because of how much our guest has accomplished and because of the relationship that we have. So the poster child for the guest segment was always our guest. Did they make a difference in their family? Check. Did they in their community? Triple check that one. In all of the organizations that they have been a part of? Check, 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 check. And have they given back to their community over and over and over? And it's check, check, check. And then on a personal level, has this person made a difference in my life and in the life of my family? Without, there are no questions. There's nothing that can be talked about there. Our guest is truly one of the finest human beings I've been blessed to have impact my life. And I hope that in some ways I've done the same for him. So the first person that anybody wanted us to have on our podcast, we waited until the back end of our first year. We wanted to make sure that we did this exactly right. Because when you talk about an all-timer, our guest is an all-timer. Jameer Nelson, welcome to Make a Difference.
Yeah, thank you, guys. I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
So, Jameer, there's a lot that people know, but there's a story out there. Give us a story about your journey that no one knows. How did you end up here and now in a leading executive role in the NBA and the 15-year career? Where's that story? Where's that story that no one knows?
Share. It's funny, from a young age, you have the dreams and aspirations and goals of being a professional of whatever, right? And for me, growing up in Chester, I had no idea that I was going to college. I didn't know college was an actual thing for me. I didn't know about scholarships. I didn't know how that worked. I knew one thing: my parents couldn't afford it, and by the grace of God, I was able to pave the way for myself along with my parents. They put me in situations to go have fun and play sports. It wasn't just about basketball. It was baseball, football, and then basketball. But things started to happen, and I started to get better at basketball and started loving it more and more. And it just took off. And I had a couple people believe in me that was around the neighborhood, and Chester is a big basketball community. So you're fighting for notoriety just in itself in that area. Like we had a ton of people who probably were better than me in high school and probably maybe even college. But one, they may not have had the grades and the work ethic that I had. I was able to focus at a young age and put everything that I wanted and tailor that to go get my goal of not having my parents pay for school. And it's funny, as I got older, I found out the story, like how you guys in St. Joe's recruiting, you're going to see somebody else. And, it's cliche when you tell your kids or people or whoever, younger athletes, you never know who's watching. And that's true. Like, I have no idea. I've never asked, and I don't want to know, and I will never ask who you guys went to go see, what game it was, because it really didn't matter. It just, for me, I was just playing one, like I said, for the love of the game and to help my parents out, not to have to pay for school. Once I realized school, that was something I wanted to do and something I can go get. That was my goal. And then with this job, as a point guard, you play for 14 years, obviously under yourself coach and through college and the NBA with, guys like Stan Van Gundy and Mike Malone, some other coaches who I really like, clinched onto and understood and helped me out. Everybody thought I was going to be a coach. I'm never shutting that door. But I do get to coach in my own way in my leadership role. And it's not necessarily just coaching basketball, it's coaching exactly what you guys are talking about, making a difference. It's coaching in life, just giving guys and girls and the proper tools to become successful in whatever they want to do. People, I don't think people realize how much sports are, how important they are to people in life, not just in their own sport. I sat next to a guy who owns a ton of high-end dealerships, and he said to me, he's hiring former athletes to run his business just because of the teamwork, the camaraderie, the work ethic, the things that team sports teach you, the grit, the toughness, the resilience, and how to handle adversity. Those are the people who survive in life, and especially at a professional level. Um, and the path that I'm on now, the Sixers obviously saw something in me to allow me to grow and teach me and help me out to get me to where I'm at now. There's a lot of people who I give credit to who are responsible for where I am now on this side of things, on the business side of things. Very, very appreciative and grateful for those people. Some are still with the Sixers and some moved on to other places. And I look up to people as mentors. And It's funny, one of the guys who was working, I think it was my first or second year, he now works for OKC. Shout out to OKC for winning the championship. My first year, he said, if I don't teach him, I failed. If he doesn't teach me, he failed.
Yes.
And I, listening to you guys talk, I was nervous my first year doing this. I had no idea how to write a scouting report. Picking up the computer and doing things that I had to do on the computer was stressing me out. And I realized I don't have to be like everybody else to be successful. I have to be myself.
Yes.
That's who I've been on my entire life, and that's how I'll continue to be. I do it my way. Others that I work with do it their way. And that's why you have a team. It's just like having a team on a basketball court. Everybody has to play a role. Once I understood that, my growth started to go, it just kept going pretty rapid. Like I grew pretty fast in the business. And here I am now. It's a blessing to be an assistant general manager for the Sixers, the hometown team.
So in the beginning, impact of family, brothers and sisters, your spectacular mother and father, just impact of family on Jameer Nelson today.
It's exactly that, what you're saying. Like, I am a testament to all the people that I grew up with, um, in terms of like my intermediate family, my sisters, my brothers, and my parents. The amount of support that I had, um, it's hard to explain. Like, my dad never missed a game, right?
Mm-hmm.
My mom didn't go to every game, but we talked about every game. Um, Again, going back to who had what role. And people don't realize my mom and dad separated when I was 3 years old, but you would never tell. You never be able to tell because the bond that they had, and it was just all about the kids. It's about me and my siblings. And you know this, coach. Like, you show up to a family barbecue, everybody's there. It's one big family. Before people was calling it a blended family, we had a blended family. It was Everybody was involved. Everybody was on the same page. Um, the excitement of seeing myself, my siblings play, that's what drove my family. That was my parents giving us an opportunity, even my step parents giving us an opportunity to be successful at whatever. It was times where my stepfather or my stepmother, they had to be the ones taking me different places.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm extremely grateful for that. Even now to this day, my stepfather, I need him to do something for my kids. Like, he's there. Like, he's 100% involved, and he watches the games, my daughter games, Jameer games on TV, um, pretty much every time he gets a chance.
So, just a personal aside, when I went to visit on Curlin Street in Chester with Jameer, he had already committed, but we were going over kind of the details. There were 75 people in the row home, and I didn't know who was who, but I knew this: everybody in that room was family, and I was included in that family from the jump street. So that's what made it special for me. And then a sad, somber note: when Jameer's father passed away tragically, and I drove down on a Saturday, and everybody was gathered at his house. It was almost the same 75 people, Jameer, at that house. And if you remember, you were coming from and I don't mean you never felt that, but you were the star of Chester. You were out buying sandwiches for everybody, if you remember that. And when I walked in, I choked up because it was the same feeling that I had when I visited with you when you were a rising high school senior.
Yeah, no, it's obviously, Chester is very small, intimate place, and like I said, has produced so many great athletes, so many great people. A lot of people focus on the negativity, because that's what makes a story. And what I remember from Chester is, obviously, it's crime. It's crime everywhere. It's crime, drugs, all that stuff everywhere. But the level of support that I got from my family, my friends, in the city, um, I was safe everywhere. I was safe everywhere. My family was safe everywhere because we respected everybody and everybody respected us. They knew exactly what we were about, knew what I was about, and I obviously played in the leagues in Chester and the outdoor leagues and things like that. Um, and that's where I gained, like, that's where I, like, basically my name had developed. It wasn't high school basketball. I was Jameer Nelson, a basketball player from Chester, because playing outside Chester, and all those people, um, when my father passed, or when I committed to St. Joe's, or made it to the NBA, even like taking this job initially, being involved with the Blue Coats, which is in Delaware, the amount of support is unbelievable. Like, I'm, you still, it's not like you take it for granted. It's just a part of you. It's not something that you realize until you get older how much support you have. And now I'm understanding and seeing it more. And you look back on things that happened. My first game back from, when I got to the NBA, we played the Sixers, and I think it was 500 people there for me after the game.
Yes.
It was like 500, 600 people. And I think I gave, throughout my career, 14 years in NBA, I don't think I've given away less than 100 tickets to a game when I played the Sixers. And it's funny. I got frustrated one year. I'm like, all these people have seen me play so many times, high school, college, NBA, on TV, whatever. I'm like, I don't understand why they still come to the games. And it's exactly that, coach. It's the support. They're just, everybody from Chester wears Chester on their back.
Yes.
And they wear it proud. And they want to support. They want to be a part of it. They don't necessarily, not everybody wants something from you other than just to say, I was at the game to support.
Respect given by you and your family, respect received. And not because of the basketball player, but because of Linda Billings, who she is, because of Pete Nelson, who he was, and because of Jameer Nelson. Chester gave respect to the people, not to the game. And that is so admirable. Jameer, we lose the game, your last college game. We gather everybody, and there's mandatory press conference. And this was your statement when somebody said to you, are you glad that you came back? You're the player of the year. You're going to win every award. First team All-American, da, 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 da. And your quote was, I didn't come back for any of that. I came back so that my teammates would recognize me as the best teammate they ever had. Where'd that come from?
I just think that's who I am to the core. I want to gain respect from people. You build blocks every day, every week, every year, and challenge yourself to be the best at your craft. And to me, yes, I was going to work at basketball, and all that stuff was going to be nice and fun. But if your teammates if they don't respect you, they don't like you. With none of the basketball portion of it, like that part of it doesn't mean anything. So I always wanted to be the best teammate, and with that, I always wanted to be a leader. I wanted to be the leader. For me, I heard it at a young age, probably 10, 11 years old, that I was a natural leader, and I had no idea. Again, it's certain things, like, you get older, you realize what's happening. You see people gravitating towards you, and you have no idea why. And it's because you're a good teammate. You're a good teammate, and you do things for the right reasons. I always tried to play whatever sport and whatever game I played the right way. It just so happened that I was one of the better players. I had a lot of God-given ability and talent that helped, but it was never about that. It was always about the team, always about winning, always about being the coach on the floor. And accolades, individual things, it never mattered to me. I remember one year football, I think I was 12 or 13, and we were undefeated. And weight league football, you have to do the registration and all this stuff. And we had a really good team, again, undefeated. And one of our players, his registration card didn't get filled out right. So every game he played in, we had to forfeit. We lost. And I was devastated for myself and the team, and more so for the player that it happened to, because at that age, you think like it's my fault. Like you said earlier, mistakes are all right, we have to move on. We have to figure it out, grow from it, and things like that. But in real time, I was devastated for the team. And still, I had accomplished individual goals and got this MVP and got that, but none of that mattered because we weren't able to compete for a championship. And I felt like that was stripped from us in an unfair way. It's not like our toughest opponent, probably we beat them by 7 points. And this is a kid, who he actually didn't play that much in the games, but he played almost every game because we blew everybody out, if that makes sense. So I was devastated because I knew as a teammate, this kid was going to go through some things and suffer at a young age because of it.
So I'm going to hold that question about a teammate. I do have another question about that. I know it because I lived it with you. But please tell our audience here, Jameer, why did you graduate from college? 15 years after you played your last game? Why? Why did you
Well,
graduate from college?
It's some promises I made, and I'm not going to sit here and lie and say I kept all my promises in my life. But I promise you, I promised my mom, I promised my dad, and I promised my grandfather. And then you fast forward, I have kids. I cannot tell my kids, hey, you have to do this as a leader of a household if I haven't done it. I can't say you have to be a good student and graduate and get good grades if I just looked at it as, hey, I went to college, it helped me get to the NBA. I don't need my degree. I think those are reasons that were extremely important to me. I wanted to keep my promise, and I wanted to do something early for my kids that mattered more than anything I could have given them. Any vacation, any softball bat, basketball shoes, or anything. My degree means so much more than any of those things.
If I talk to NBA people, and I talk to them often and have for a very long time, when I say Jameer Nelson, here's what they say to me: a pro's pro from an early age. What do they mean by that?
I think they, at an early age, I understood how to be professional on and off the floor. Obviously, you're in the NBA, you have your fun, you do your things, whatever. But it's a way to do it. It's a way to move. It's a way to go about yourself on and off that floor. And on the floor, I was a guy. I had fun. I like to joke. I like to keep the team loose and be myself. When it all came down to it, I was extremely prepared because of the work that I put in. I tell people this all the time. I don't think people believe me. I have yet to be nervous in a basketball game. I've never experienced nerves like I'm afraid of this moment or this situation in a basketball game because I put the work in and I did it the right way. And I just live with the results. I missed the game winning shot to put us into the Final Four. It happened, right? That's exactly how it was supposed to happen. Do I wish it would have gone in? Absolutely. But I don't regret it at all. It was a situation where the ball was just short. So the work that you put in, it eventually shows. And I think this generation needs to understand that things that you do now, it may not happen tomorrow. It might happen 3 weeks, a month, a year from now. It will be times I'll be working on stuff like, Matt Brady trained me up, most of my career. And we would work on things and I wouldn't do it until 2 years later, but it was muscle memory. But I never got discouraged. But I think some of these kids want things to happen right away. And
Exactly where I was going. I was going to lead you into this. Today's player, and I'm not knocking them.
No,
but build on this. Like here, I'm talking to a pro's pro. Today's player, what can they take from the pros who are out there?
Yeah, you look at guys in NBA, and most of these kids don't realize where Steph Curry, where he started, how he started. Kawhi, they see the finished product, and they understand that that's the player right now, and they try to be that player, but they don't realize how that player got there, right? And for me, I understood that at a young age because I had Doug Overton also, who was in my corner, who helped me out, who was an NBA player. Had a long career as a professional basketball player. So what we did was we just trained every day, and we put forth our best foot every day, no matter what the day was. And it was not one time he had to wake me up because we worked out. We started at 6 a.m. And people don't realize that my workouts was 6 to 8 hours a day, depending on the day. These kids think I go play basketball, that's a workout. Or they think I go get shots up, that's a workout. Or if I'm in the gym, I shoot 1,000 shots. No, I was going to do everything I could in that day to create a good day for myself. Mm-hmm. Every day was a good day. Doug would always say, he would put a number on that day, like a monetary number. This is a $10,000 day, 15, because he knew the grind. He knew the grind, and he instilled that in me at an early age, and I just kept going, and I would pass it along to whomever could um, I guess, handle those type of workouts. Those guys will come and work out and hang out and play and do all those things, and they started to understand it. Like I had Kyle Lowry with me for a few years, and still to this day, he's like, I work out at 5 in the morning because of you. And I'm like, no, you work out at 5 in the morning because of you. You took the time to learn and understand what it is to be a pro at an early age. And I give Kyle a lot of credit. Like he's going to be a Hall of Famer, championship, gold medal, like all these things that people probably thought that he wasn't capable of. He's become that person because of the work ethic and because he was a pro's pro.
So when you look at any line at work, because you've taken a lot of time outside of basketball to study and to connect with people. We've had many conversations about where you would go if it wasn't basketball. What's the characteristic that allows good to become great? So what is going to allow you to become a great general manager from a good assistant general manager? Allowed you to become from a good high school player to a good college player to a great college player. What are those characteristics that people could emulate?
It doesn't matter what level you're at and what role you're in. You have to be willing to learn. And the best leaders are the best listeners.
Mm-hmm.
I think, you have a lot of smart people in sports. Some of them think they know everything. Some of them think they're smarter than everybody. And the reality of it is again, we're a team. Everybody brings different characteristics. Everybody brings different tools to our staff, and just create or grab the goal that we want to grab and go after whatever we need to go after. Put together like the plan and go get it. When you listen and you learn, you know where to insert yourself and where to give input. I mean, I'll be in a meeting certain times. I mean, certain times I'm like taking over the meeting. Certain times I'm not, just because it's not my time. It's I don't need to have a voice on everything. I just need to be prepared to have a voice if needed, but also understand what's going on to give my best info, put my best info out there for the group.
How about you and I have had these conversations. Greatest lesson from a teammate, or the greatest teammate that you had in your long, illustrious career?
Well, I think when I got to the NBA, obviously it's different now, where it's myself and Dwight and everybody else were like veterans. Now it's flipped the opposite way. I was trying to like observe and engage and understand and learn. And Stacey Augman was one of my teammates. He called me young fella. He said, "Hey, young fella, everybody wants to be led. It's time for you to lead." He saw that in me, not even knowing me as well as others, obviously. But he was like, "Come on, like it's time. Like, why are you not leading the way I know you can lead?" And I've had so many great teammates. I've been blessed. Like I've so many great teammates, so many superstars I played with. It's hard for me to name like one that I like. Hey, this was my best. I can talk about the guys that I played with for hours. But that was the one thing. Like it was early. I think it was actually my second year when he said that. He's like, it's time for you to lead.
Wow. All right, I need you to brag. I need you to brag. Tell us about that wonderful family of yours. Start with your wife, man. Start with your wife and those kids who are, man. I'll say this enviously. They're all going to school with their gifts. So share. Come on, tell us.
Yeah, man. It's again, my kids, they get the support that I've gotten. Just different. Obviously, they didn't grow up in Chester, but they have the family dynamic that is extremely important and supportive. Very, very competitive family. Very competitive and well, more importantly, the competitive, very intelligent. They're extremely intelligent kids, and that doesn't come from me. So I'm not gonna take. I'm not taking credit for that one. But it's fun to watch the people that you're raising grow into young human beings, men and women. Obviously, Jameer Jr. is doing his thing as a professional basketball player, and my oldest daughter, Jamia, is at University of South Florida, going into her junior year, and Jaden, my middle daughter, who is a senior next year, is committed to Michigan State to play softball, and my youngest, Jace, she is she's a great kid, a lot of energy. And you know how it is when you have your last kid, coach. They walk that line a little bit, and you get a little older. You like, all right, I'll just let them get away with this and get away with that. So she gets away with a little more. Her siblings tell her all the time, if I would have done that, this would have happened. I'm not gonna say what this is because people might think I'm a bad parent, but it probably would have happened. And like as parents, what we try to do is we try to support them. We make sure and we try to provide them with what they need just to be successful. It's we all spoil our kids. Listen, most kids in the world have too much. They have all the iPads and the cell phones and this and that and the trainers. But as parents, what we try to do is give them what they need and support and allow them to grow and be who they are. It's not easy. It's not easy. But it's fun. It's fun to watch. Like I said, I enjoy it, and I really think that they're coming into becoming great people.
Beautiful. That's the tribute. That is the ultimate tribute. 2 questions left for you.
Yep.
Somebody out there could be a parent, could be a grandparent, could be a coach. Who knows who connects with our podcast? But somebody out there can impact a young Jameer. And it may not be in basketball, it may be in art, it may be in music, it may be in whatever. What would you tell young Jameer? What would you tell that 10-year-old Jameer that you talked about earlier in the interview? What would you tell him to expect? And what would you tell him to change?
That's interesting. The one thing I would have told the young Jameer is to focus on school a lot earlier. And I say that because my parents, I don't think, obviously my dad has passed, but my mom, I don't know if she knows that. I think in the 5th grade, maybe 5th and 6th grade, I had after school suspension every day. And it was because I was hanging with the wrong people, not because I was a bad kid or a bad student. I just allowed people to influence me in a negative way. And, I became the class clown. And they never knew because my dad, like I said, I lived with my dad at the time, and all the the mail chain that I had in school suspension, it came to the house, and he didn't get off work until later. So I was able to get the notice, and I would throw it in the trash.
Wow.
I would throw it in the trash. So, but I did have people. I remember my teachers like, you're messing up a good thing. Like, why are you doing this? Stop hanging with this person. Stop doing this. And, back then in the 90s, your teachers were your extended parents. And I really started to understand what they meant. And, I'm an athlete and I'm competitive, so I'm goal oriented. And my goal again was to try to help myself get as far as I can in sports and get school paid for. And I couldn't do it by getting in school suspension every day like I did. So I just flipped and stopped hanging with the crew of people I was hanging with. And I just had to make a real business decision at a young age.
I think I've told you this. And I'm going to, before the final question, I have to share this story. And I know I haven't told you this, Jared. I gave a talk at the beginning of the school year. My second talk was at Sun Valley High School. So that's the Pendelco School District. People waited afterwards. And a woman came up to me at the end, and she looked me in the eye and she said, I can't thank you enough. I really needed that. I've been doing this for more than 35 years. I thought I should be done. I spent the whole summer thinking about it. She said, I actually thought about coming in today and retiring. And because of what you just said, knowing that we can make a difference, he said, and I also want you to know that I taught Jameer Nelson music when he was in the 5th, 6th, 7th grade. And she said, and I had a conversation with him and said, Jameer, you have so much. Please don't put all your eggs in one basket, because you're kind of small and basketball might not work out. And she looked at me and smiled. And she said, I guess I got that wrong. And I said to her, no, you got it right. Because if he wasn't as well-rounded, basketball may not have worked out. Because, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but Jameer and I could get in a car now, go to Chester, and we could go to each corner and say he was the best player in 1969, and he was the best player in 19. But to become the greatest out of that city took all of this that he has talked to us about. So do you remember that teacher?
I don't remember the teacher in particular, her name or anything like that, but I do remember some teachers coming to me acknowledging that, one, they thought I was too sports oriented instead of school. That's why I said earlier, I wish I would have done school a little earlier, like taking that a little more serious. But I also used it as fuel. My baseball coach at high school said the same exact thing. He said because I was a really good baseball player. He wanted me to stick with baseball. He's like, I'm too small for football and basketball. Baseball would be it, blah, blah, blah. And, could I have been a professional baseball player? I'm not sure, but I definitely could have been a collegiate baseball player. So in a sense, he was right, like stick with baseball, but I just didn't love it. And it's funny, after that, like it just turned me off of baseball. I didn't want to play anymore. I played high school baseball when I was in 8th grade. So, it just was one of those things where I didn't love it anymore. And also I took it as a challenge. When he challenged me and told me I couldn't do it, it's like I'm gonna show you type of thing. Like I said, I'm goal oriented and I love challenges.
I thought that the story was, Jameer, I thought the story was always it was your football coach. That was
it was my baseball
coach. Okay. I had always heard it was your football coach instead.
I'll tell you this, football, I'm gonna tell you why I stopped playing football. It got real. They started hitting it just was, you getting hit by Glen Mills and Sun Valley and Interboro and
No.
all those Bill Val schools. It got real.
Come on, Jameer. As soon as they got off the bus from Glen Mills, you went, nah, not for me. I'll see you in the gym.
You say, no disrespect to whoever went to Glen Mills. You like, he did what? He's there why? And he's on the football team? Nah, not for me. I play basketball.
So we always end this segment with this question, and I know where this is going to go, but take as long as you want. And I know it'll be emotional, but who's made a difference in Jameer Nelson's life?
Man, how much time do we have?
Yeah.
So I just say this. The coaching staff at St. Joe's, yourself, obviously, Monte, Mark, Brady, Billy Luke, all the people there helped mold me, along with the city of Chester, my family, my friends. I now can call my coaches my friends. Yes. I always wanted that for my kids. And you don't, especially nowadays, not too many people will get that because of NIL and the transfer portal. And, obviously it's much more of a business now. But what you guys did for us as individuals it's hard for me to tell kids now, like, you go to college, that's going to be your father figure for the next 4 years, because I doubt that happens now. And you guys were father figures to all of us in different times, in different ways. I remember going to sit in your office. I was struggling in different areas and couldn't get my priorities in order. And the first time I went to your office, you said, to whom much is given, much is expected. And then the next time, struggling again, you drew a ladder on the board. I don't know if you remember this.
Yes.
And you put like priorities, like things I needed to do there. And that's when I was like, wow, like these people really care, like for the person, and not just about me as a player. It was more about me as a person. Because the basketball part was the easiest part for most of the guys on the team. But just having the support from you guys and the leadership and the mentorship, it gave me a different understanding what like mentorship was, and you know what a coach was. Fred Pickett was an incredible human being for me as well. Larry Yarbrough, rest both of their souls. Obviously my parents, but Larry was a huge part of what and who I have become as a player. I mean, even like I said, Doug Overton, Steve Mountain, like Maya Gibbons, all the people that I'm still connected with. May not be as much because of my job and my family, my kids, with everything, but all the people I'm still connected to, I randomly text them, hey, how you doing? Just checking on you, give you a shout. Obviously a bunch of teammates that I had. It's just so many people, Coach. I can't. I'm blessed. Like, if I didn't make a dollar playing basketball, I would be like rich with love. I'm rich with love. I'm rich with support. I mean, even my kids, it's like funny to see them like. So this year, I'll tell you this funny story before I go. So, you know how it is an NBA team has to call, interview you, all that stuff. And my daughter, my youngest daughter, she was like, listen, I'll be in 8th grade next year. And after that, we can move. I'll make new friends. I'll be fine and all that stuff. She's giving me her support and stamping it, right?
Right.
And then at the end, she said, you know what, too? She said, Dad, I just want to tell you this. Money talks. So if you got to go get that money, he's like, you got to go. And so I was like, whoa. But the support of my kids, knowing that I want to be a guy who runs his own team at some point, the sacrifices that they're making,
yes,
allow me to do this is again, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to have the support and the people backing me and pushing me.
Well, I knew it. I wanted to get the right moment. This is the right moment. You're the right person. You have made a difference in my life. I pray that I've made a difference in yours. And I can only end this with one way. Love you, Jameer.
Love you too, Coach.
Jameer, thanks so much, man. Appreciate you jumping on.
You guys. Yeah, thanks, Coach. Thanks, Jared.
Thank you.
We talk a lot about Mount Rushmore, but that was Mount Everest.
Yeah, that was terrific. And you probably had 47 questions, but
I was like about to pop a blood vessel over here, but he only had so much time, and I knew that Phil, that was your moment, and I feel like we'll get him on again. We'll get another shot. There's a we didn't even talk about the fact that he just got promoted to assistant GM of the Sixers, for goodness sake. I mean, the Sixers, of course, he just had a big hand in that war room scene between who was going to 3 and everything like that. And there's too much on a personal level to touch on there that I had to let you two just riff that out.
Yeah, it was real. And I'll give you this one nugget. Think about all that connection with family. Young Jameer was coming to play for us. And we had numerous conversations. From the moment in time when I started to talk to him when he was 16 years old, 16-year-old, young Jameer ends every text, every phone call with me. Love you, coach. 16. That's a studied behavior. That goes back to teacher learner. His father was the teacher because Jameer ends every conversation like that, as do many, many, many of the players. That's why I always say they're not former players. We're together for life. But for him to easily do that and to think of what he said about all those players seeing the coaches as father figures, that was really, really, really special. So we thank him, fit in, running to Salt Lake and having to go see his team play tonight while his son's playing San Francisco.
He's in Vegas till the 20th, he said.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's as busy as, they can possibly be at this point in the season.
And just there it is. That's who he is. And if you want to put him on the Mount Everest, if that's the tallest one, then please do it. But think about where we started. Who makes a difference in their family? Who makes a difference in their community? The organizations that they're involved in, their charitable endeavors. We didn't even get into all that. You want to go into Chester? Change the name. Right? Nelsonville or whatever you want to be. It's extraordinary. From an early age, tremendous teacher and a willing learner. So good things are certainly in the future, and great things have happened in the past.
I have to ask. I gotta throw this one on you because of this dynamic and this theme for this episode. Coach and player really is teacher and learner, and it's a two-way street.
Yes.
I want to know what the first thing Jameer Nelson ever taught you was.
I would say his absolute, and I don't mean to be a negative, but his absolute lack of entitlement. Right? He never came across as, well, I deserve this because I'm the best player in Chester, or I'm the best player in the state, or I'm the best freshman in the country. He never once cut a corner because he was entitled. That would be that would be the shining stars for me. Lack of entitlement. And I hate to do it on the negative side because so many things, like never nervous. And I would be like, everybody feels a little something. No.
I think it was funny though. He said I was never nervous for basketball, and I kind of glanced over at you, and you were like, "Really?" Because I was kind of terrified. I don't know where you got that from.
No, it was fascinating. A once in a lifetime human being to be in your life, and then what he became is the model for where I wanted to go. So a blessing for sure. And he blessed Make a Difference so much. We're not even interested. We're not even doing where I was and where I'm going. We'll get back to that. That right there. We want to get everybody pay attention a little bit. Numbers are down a little bit in the summer. Some of our advertisers are trying to make a decision on what they're going to do. That's what we deliver on this. Superstardom.
Yeah, that is the Jameer Nelson episode. And well, we can't rule out there may be another one because, like I said, I had about, was it 47 more questions? I might, by the end of this, I might have another 40.
Yeah, but you're one of
43.
those guys now that's like over the top. VJ Edgecombe is going to be Dwayne Wade, going to be this, going to be that. It was the Summer League.
It looked pretty good to start. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, hey, listen.
So I just have to ask one question. I don't want to make this real long, but please tell me on July 4th weekend, Saturday of July 4th weekend, you did not spend time watching the Summer League.
I had my eye on it. I mean, I had my eye. What?
I heard a leading radio what do they host today? I heard a leading radio host today talk about he watched every dribble of a Summer League game on July 5th.
That's dedication. Yeah.
That's scary. That ain't dedication. That's scary.
That guy might need help. But listen, I'm just saying, if we were hoping to hear as insider as much insider knowledge as we possibly could about the Sixers' newest pick, I would think that was a pretty safe source to get it from.
There we go.
But again, too much there. Too much family. Too much love. To fool around with. Will a lottery pick be good? We got a lot of time to figure that out. We have it's tough to beat this one, and I have to say, but we do have another awesome episode coming up.
Yeah, we're taking Make a Difference to the people.
That's right. We will be at the Fittler Club in Philadelphia for a leadership Q&A. Phil and I will be joined by Fittler Club members to share some knowledge and still some leadership talking points and mentorship talking points. I mean, Phil will be, for the record. They don't want to hear from me, but it will be a fascinating opportunity to meet with some really terrific people over there, set up by our good friend Gary Mills of Shoot Basketballs Not People. Very excited to see him again and get in touch with him, and Gary will be a part of that program as well. So it'll be a quite a bit of fun coming up. So some really, really awesome episodes, not only in the bag here today.
People can join us on that, right?
Fiddler Club members will be able to join us, and the episode will be out next week.
Got it. Okay.
So there'll be an opportunity for people to come check that out and listen. It's kind of a new opportunity, and we're hoping things go well. We're excited about it. I checked out the space and tested everything out this past week, so that was all good to go. And if this goes well, maybe that's a regular thing that we take on the road, kind of a Q&A and open-ended opportunity for our audience to really get in touch with us more and do these live shows. I think that's something we've been kind of pounding the table for more and more. So that should be quite a bit of fun. Looking forward to that next week. But again, tough to beat Jameer. Our thanks again for him joining. If you were looking to make a difference with Phil Martelli, head on over to pnjmakeadifference.com. That is where you can get in touch with Phil and tell him your story to see how he can help you make a difference either in the workplace, in the classroom, on the hardwood, or off the hardwood. We are at Make a Difference Pod on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube, at Make a Diff Pod on X, Make a Difference with Phil Martelli on Facebook. If you're looking for that Martelli Minute, go ahead and head on over to Instagram at Phil_Martelli every morning at 6:30 a.m. If you're watching on YouTube, feel free to like and subscribe. And if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, give us a 5-star rating if you can. We appreciate y'all. And we didn't even mention, I thought off the top of the show, well, we had a lot going on with this one, but
nope.
No,
we're not going there. We'll let it get into the All-Star break. I know right where you're going.
Nice start from the big fella, though, on the mound. Let's just say that.
Well, let's just say that I sat and I thought after 3 innings, I'm going to have to watch this whole game because I think he's going to throw a perfect game today. And that's not an easy lineup.
No.
They were overmatched. So if Davey Roberts is looking for our endorsement, Make a Difference endorses starting Zach Wheeler. But get him out of there after the first inning. Don't be stretching him out because we need him on the back end. 90 games in, 72 to play. I'm thinking 43-29. That gets you to about 96 wins. We're gold.
There we go. Right there. Nailed it. Go Phils.
Go Phils.